people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan. In today's video, we are going to be tier ranking all the books that I read in 2022. I read 162 books in 2022, and honestly, that is a crazy number to me. I think the previous year, 2021, I read 25 books. I was in a reading slump. Oh my God. I was in a reading slump, and I ended up just reading that many books. 2022, I discovered my library and I discovered audiobooks. Specifically, I discovered free audiobooks from the library, and that honestly changed the game for me. I went to reading like between 5 to 10 books a month to reading like 15 to 20 books a month. So, yeah, audiobooks changed the game for me. I would say over 50% of the books that I read in 2022 were audiobooks. I had some months where I read like in between 15 to 20 books, and they were literally exclusively audiobooks, or maybe one physical book and then the rest audiobooks. So yeah, and I don't want to make this intro too long because we have lots of books to tier rank, but let's go over the tiers real quick. They're pretty self-explanatory. I'm not like super witty, so I didn't come up with anything crazy. So they're pretty self-explanatory, but we have our top tier books. These are my all-time favorite books. Then we have a 2022 favorite. So these were really good for the year, but I wouldn't call them an all-time favorite. But when you're comparing them to everything I read this year, they are a favorite. And then we have a less than a fave, but more than good. I feel like this is just for the 4-star reads. The ones that I'm like, it was more than meh, but I wouldn't call it a favorite either. And then we have it was good, which was just like, yeah, it was good. It was fine. I'm glad I read it, I guess. Then we have I Can Live Without It, where it's like, you know what? I read it. It was a good time, but like I didn't need it in my life. I read this question mark because when I was coming up with all of these, like when I was looking up all of the books I read to try to get the images for this, some of them I was looking at and I was like, I have no memory of this book, like whatsoever. Like, very, like, I don't know what happened in this book. And then Just Know, this is reserved for the 1-star reads, which honestly, I'm not too picky. So I feel like I don't have too many 1-star reads. But yeah, this is Just Know. Just Know. I did not like it. Just get it away from me. So let's get started because you know what? It's gonna be a long video. I'm gonna try to keep it relatively short for each book. So the first one we're starting off with is A Million Junes by Emily Henry, and this one is the one we're starting with, and I'm going to put it in It Was Good. I really wanted to read Henry's backlist. This is the first book I read before she started doing adult romances. She was writing like kind of like paranormal romance, but in the YA genre. I liked this. It was good. It was definitely a lot more emotionally heavy than her adult romance books. So, you know what? It wasn't a favorite of mine, but I didn't hate it either. Next, we have Beaches, Bungalows, and Burglaries by Tanya Kons. This is a cozy mystery. This is the first book in the series. And I'm going to put it in I Can Live Without It. It was a good time, but being the first in the series, you could definitely tell it was the first in the series. Her writing wasn't very good in it, and it was okay. I think there's better cozy mysteries out there. And then we have Desert Strivings and Delarix, and I'm going to put that under I read this because this is the second book in the series, and I don't really remember anything about it. I have no idea what the mystery is. But those are the only two I read from the series. So there we go. Next, we have My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey, which is the first Tessa Bailey book that I ever read. And I was super hyped about it because I heard so many great things about her. And honestly, we're just going to put this in It Was Good. But it definitely goes before A Million Junes. I overall liked this book, but it took me a really long time to read it, even though it was a relatively short book. The smut, top tier. But the story, the mystery, everything was just kind of like, it was okay. I don't know, it was good, but it wasn't my favorite. Next, we have Troubles in Paradise by Ellen Hilderbrand, which is actually the third book in the series. Let me see if I can find the whole series. Okay, so I just brought the whole series up here to have them in order, so we can just do them all together. So we have the Winter in Paradise trilogy by Ellen Hilderbrand. I love Ellen Hilderbrand. She has become an all-time favorite author of mine. I discovered her in 2022, and I read 8 books by her this year. These are 3 of them, and it was a trilogy. And I would say that Winter in Paradise was definitely a 2022 favorite. What Happens in Paradise, I would say was also pretty good, and then Troubles in Paradise was a less than a fave, but more than good. So yeah, I really enjoyed this trilogy. Next, we have Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. Her name is kind of cut off, but I am debating between between It Was Good and I Could Live Without It. I really enjoyed the first 30% of this book, and then the last like 70% of the book, I was just kind of bored by it. So honestly, I'm putting I Could Live Without It. It was good. But it didn't affect my life. I was really hoping to really enjoy this book a lot because the Barnes Noble exclusive edition was gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous for this book. And I knew that if I loved it, I was going to buy it, but unfortunately I didn't, so I didn't. But I am going to put it before this one. Next, we have A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. This book, I'm gonna put in it was good. I liked this. This is one of those ones that I feel like everybody rates 5 stars. I read it and I listened to the audiobook and I didn't get it. I didn't really love it. I didn't love Ove. I the whole story I was kind of bored. I was like, how much faster can I make this audiobook? But then like there were some sweet moments in it as well. I'm really excited for the movie coming out, A Man Called Otto. So I'm just gonna put it in it was good. It's just very middle of the road book for me, but I know a lot of people love this one. Ooh, the next one we have a good one. We have Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This one I'm going to put in less than a fave, but more than good. I really enjoyed this book a lot. I cannot wait to read the rest of the Twisted series in 2022. The first one was really good. I really enjoyed it, and but I feel like it's just the beginning, right? And once I read the rest of this series, I feel like in 2023 we could have some of the Twisted series up on a 2023 favorite. But yeah, for now, I'm happy with that spot. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I do want to buy this book for my shelves, but I want to buy like the OG cover for my shelf. Like I want the cover model on there, okay? Don't give me this like light blue cover. Give me the cover model. He is beautiful. That's the edition that I want. So I need to go and search for that to put it on my shelves. Next, we have The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory or Gilroy. I don't know exactly how you pronounce her name. It's kind of cut off at the moment. This one. Do I put it in it was good or I can live without it? I don't know. We're gonna put it for right now, and it was good. I enjoyed it. It was good. After we're gonna put it before this one. This book, it took me like 30% to get into it. This is the second book in the like wedding date series, but they're all like interconnected standalones. You can read them out of order. This was actually the first Jasmine Guillory book that I read, and I read it because I found it at a thrift store, and it was just okay. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Not the best time, not the worst time. Stuck with You by Ali Hazelwood. This was one of her feminist novellas, and if this is the, I think this is the one where they got trapped in the elevator, and I'm gonna put it in I Could Live Without It. It's not a just no, but it is an I Could Live Without It because the storyline in it is the conflict and the storyline in this short story in this novella was just too awkward and cringe for me. I just couldn't do it. So yeah, I have it right there. I have it and I could live without it because this was honestly my least favorite thing that she's ever written. But everything else she's written overall, I've really enjoyed and loved. Next, we have Finley Donovan Knocks Him Dead, which actually is the second book in the series. So let's do the first one. We have Finley Donovan is Killing It. This one I really enjoyed. I dare I say a 2022 favorite. I actually just reread this book. Right now, as of filming, so it's January. I actually just finished rereading this book. I listened to the audiobook in 2022. It's 2023 right now. I read the ebook. Really enjoyed it both times, and it is definitely a 2022 favorite. This is a cozy mystery series following Finley Donovan, and she accidentally gets hired as an assassin, and it's hilarious, and I love it. And then we have Finley Donovan Knocks Him Dead. This one I'm also going to put next to a 2022 favorite because honestly, I feel like I love this one even more than the first one. So yeah, just both books are really funny and a great time, and I'm very excited for the third one coming out this year. Oh my God, Tis the Season for Revenge by Morgan Elizabeth. This one is a top tier. It's a top tier book. I love this one so much. And you know what? The writing, I'm not going to say it's the best writing ever. You know what? And it's kind of cringy, it's kind of cheesy, but I just loved every aspect of the story. And it has to be top tier because Damien, the hero of this book, the male lead of this book, is my favorite book boyfriend I've ever encountered in my life. And I just loved their relationship, and everything was just so cute, and he was just so sweet. I just have to put it in top tier. Next, we have Faith Taking Flight by Julie Murphy. And this one I'm going to also put in I Could Live Without It, or I'm kind of like, I do remember some of the book, but like it's such a forgettable book to me. Like, I don't know a lot of what happened. No, I'm going to put in I read this question mark because like when I really think about it, like I know the overall plot to it, but once we get into the details of it, I can't tell you anything. And it was just okay. It was definitely just like a very standard 3 star read that I forgot about. We have The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. So this one, was it good? Less than a favorite. I didn't put in less than a favorite, more than good. A very popular TikTok mystery thriller. I definitely didn't see the ending coming, but it didn't like overly wow me. Like I feel like it's hyped up all over TikTok. I don't really necessarily see why. I've definitely read better mystery thrillers, but it was shocking. I did enjoy my time listening to it, so there we go. Next, we have Booked on a Feeling by JC Lee. This is going straight into I read this. I don't even have to think about it. This book, I don't remember. I do not remember one thing that happened in this book. I remember the opening scene and that was it. It's like a friends to lovers romance. She's a lawyer. I don't know what's up with him. Oh, I think she goes back to the small town. The only thing I remember from this book is he helps her through a panic attack. But like anything else about how they move from friends to being in a relationship and falling in love happily ever after, I know nothing. But it does have a really cute cover, so I would be down to reread it. Next, we have Upgrade by Blake Crouch. This is the first Blake Crouch book I've ever read. I'm gonna put it in It Was a Good, and we're gonna put it before these ones. This is the first Blake Crouch book I ever read. I'm not a huge sci-fi person. It's one genre that I would love to explore more in 2023. I know his work is like highly talked about, highly rated, so I wanted to read it. I started with his newest release because it was on Book of the Month, and it was okay. It honestly felt, I listened to the audiobook and it felt like I was listening to an action movie. And I heard other people say this wasn't their favorite release by him, so I'm gonna go read his backlist, but this one was just okay. Next, we have Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. Oh my God, I love this book so much. We're gonna put this one right here. I really enjoyed Killers of a Certain Age, and this one you're following these four women in their 60s, and they are assassins, but they're retiring. And then the group that they're retiring from, the assassin group, is actually trying to kill them. So they're trying to go on the run for their lives and also figure out why this assassin group wants to kill them. So I really enjoyed this book a lot. This is another one that would be a really great movie. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it. So there we go. I'm really happy it was a book of the month selection because I don't know if I would have read it otherwise. Next, we have Bunny by Mona Awad. This one is definitely, ooh, where do I put it? Less than a favorite, more than good, or a 2020 favorite? I think we're gonna put it in. I don't know, because this is one that I really want to reread. 'Cause I really enjoyed reading this, but I feel like to really solidify it as a favorite, I need to do a reread of it. So as for now, I'm gonna put in less than a favorite, more than good. But I think in 2023, because I am gonna reread this, it could potentially be a favorite. So yeah, this book was really good. It is a horror novel, and it's just I loved it. I loved it, and I don't really want to say anything about it because this is a book. It's best to go in blind and know nothing about it. The next book on our list is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren, and this is a total. I could live without it. It was good. I don't know. Like honestly, I'm trying to. I do remember it. I read it in November, but I'm like, was it good or could I live without it? I could definitely live without it. I mean, it was just okay. I'll put at the end if it was good. You know, it was a fun little romance, Christmas romance. It was fine. I don't know. I really don't have much to say about it actually. So there we go. There we go. Christina Lauren is not my favorite romance author duo or just author in general. There's nothing wrong with them. I just personally do not connect with their romance books. There is one book that I read by them actually this month in January of 2023 that I liked, but previous to this January, every other book I've read by them, I haven't liked. So yeah, there's that. Next we have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This book, I feel weird ranking it because it has to deal with her trauma of her childhood, but it's a book I read this year, so I don't really know where to put this to be honest. We're gonna put it in the 2022 favorite because I am very proud of her for being able to write this book and talk about her trauma so publicly, and it was really eye-opening into what the show business is like for people in Nickelodeon and Disney Channel, and also just like you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And yeah, it's really amazing that she's able to talk about this. And when it comes to the issues that she had within herself and with her family, I think that it's really good for people to be able to hear that. I personally like couldn't necessarily relate to everything she was saying. I was more just listening to it to kind of understand her better. But I think if you're someone who goes through a similar situation, it's really powerful to have somebody like so famous like that that you can relate to. So yeah, put her as a 2022 favorite. Next, I have Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. This is another one I'm going to put up in a 2022 favorite because I feel weird ranking memoirs. Like, how can I rank your life experience? Like, it's your life experience, you know? But I listened to the audiobook for this Jeanette McCurdy book and Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, and I think the best way to like read celebrity memoirs is to listen to the audiobooks because you get to hear them in the celebrity's voice and the author's voice. So yeah, this one was also really entertaining. The only reason I read Green Lights is because I actually thrifted it, and if you're interested in it, I found this book at the thrift store like multiple times. So if you want to go look at the thrift store if you want to read this book, I guarantee you'll find it. The next book we have is Sadie by Courtney Summers. This one was a really great YA mystery thriller. I honestly feel like this is probably one of the, I don't know. you? I feel like this is definitely one of the better YA mystery thrillers that I've ever read. I don't really typically read a lot of YA mystery thrillers, but the limited experience I have in the genre, I would say this is definitely on the better end of them. It's probably the best I have ever read. It is definitely dealing with a lot darker topics, but I really enjoyed the audiobook for this one. This one I found at Goodwill. I listened to the audiobook for it, and I really thought the audiobook was a better experience probably than physically reading it, just because you're kind of switching between Sadie's perspective, and then you're switching to this podcaster, and they have two different narrators for it, and there's like this background noise, like there's closing of the doors when he's running in gravel, you can like hear it. It really feels like a movie in your ears, and yeah, I really enjoyed that one a lot, but definitely look up trigger warnings for it. Next, we have Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. This is another one that I really enjoyed when I was reading it, but like looking back on it, I don't remember a ton of it. I would definitely have to reread it. I would have to rewatch my Chloe Gong reading vlog. Um, there's a lot going on in this book, and honestly, I kind of forgot. So I did rate it 5 stars. So it really should be up here, but I'm just gonna put in less than a favorite more than good. I really enjoyed this. I read all three of Chloe Gong's books this year, and I had a great time doing it. We have One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. So do I put it up here? Do I put it up here? I'm really unsure. I like feel like I did put this in my top 10 favorite romance list of 2022, so we'll put it in a 2022 favorite. This is a sapphic romance. It takes place in NYC, and this girl meets a girl in a subway, but little does she know, girl can't leave the subway. So yeah, I thought it was really fun. I would say my only thing that I don't like about this book is I already said in my 2022 for top 10 romances, the things they do on a subway should never be done on a subway. I don't care if nobody's in the car, in the subway car, and you two are completely alone. The things they did should not be done in public transportation. Um, save it. Save it for when you get her off the subway. So yeah, I'm gonna put this one in a 2022 favorite. Okay, so we have To All the Boys I Love series right here. I loved this series so much. Honestly, let's just put them all right up here, right next to each other. I loved this series so, so much. It is YA contemporary romance, which again is not really my genre. I'm definitely more into the adult realm. Now I don't read too much YA, but I loved, love, love this, and I love the movies as well. So there they go. Next, we have The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. I really enjoyed this book a lot. We're gonna put it right there. I think we're gonna move that. That feels better to me. That feels better to me. So we have The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. I really enjoyed this. I did not enjoy the first book in the series, which was The X Hex. That one I rated 2 stars. But this one I rated 5 stars. It was a really fun time. This is great for fall. It's a very fun, witchy, cute, autumnal read. Yes. And you're gonna get all the vibes. You're gonna get all the vibes. Go in that book for the vibes. We have 28 Summers by Ellen Hilderbrand. Another one that was less than a fave, but more than good. I really enjoyed this book. It was one of those books I was very entertained. I loved it. I devoured the audiobook. It's a longer audiobook. I listened to it over the course of 2 days, and it was one of those ones I was entertained, and I couldn't wait to find out what was happening next. But at the same time, I disagreed with all the characters' decisions. Definitely, this book I feel like glorifies cheating in this sense, or really kind of raises the question of what is it called? Monogamy and relationships. And yeah, so I disagree with that. Obviously, like I'm not pro cheating. I don't like the romanticism. I don't like how it romanticizes cheating. But I was very entertained by the book, and I love Ursula. Besides Ursula's political beliefs in this book, like take out Ursula's political arc of this book. Love her. She's my favorite character. Next, we have The Maid by Nita Prose. This book I really enjoyed a lot. This was definitely a 2022 favorite. In this book, you're following Molly the maid, and she is neurodivergent, and she comes across a dead body in one of the rooms that she's cleaning, and it's definitely like a cozy mystery. I feel like it's cozy mystery vibes, but it definitely has some darker topics to it as well. But I really enjoyed it. Supposedly, it's supposed to be a movie with Florence Pugh. Puh? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I feel like everybody should read this book. And the way to read this book to me is the audiobook, especially because she's neurodivergent, and the way that you're reading her inner monologue, I feel like it probably comes across better through listening to the voice actor in the audiobook. A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This one was good. I would definitely say it was good. I liked this book. I just found it to be really predictable. It was a good mystery thriller. I liked it, but the twist and the bad guy at the end, I just predicted it. So it's just kind of like, okay, it was good. A fun time, but a predictable time. One Day in December by Josie Silver. This is another one. I would say less than a fave, but more than good. Another one. We're gonna put it. Where are we gonna put this one? Yeah, we'll put it right there. I feel good about that. This is another one similar to 28 Summers. I was very entertained listening to every moment of it, was never bored, but disagreed with all the characters' decisions. And I didn't find Jack to be a very likable love interest. He's like a very, like, he's one of my least favorite book boyfriends. Not my least favorite, but one of the least favorite. He's at the bottom of the book boyfriend list. So there we go. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. I absolutely love this book. And I read this around the time when it came out through Book of the Month, and I didn't hear a lot of people talking about it. But since Barnes and Noble picked it as their book of the year, I feel like everybody's talking about it. Like I'm seeing lessons in chemistry in everybody's halls, and it makes me so happy that everyone's gonna be reading this book because I loved this book so much. It's definitely one that I listened to the audiobook through my library. I loved it so much. I went out and bought the audiobook. I have the Book of the Month edition. I have the Barnes Noble exclusive edition, and it's one I'm going to go through, reread it, and annotate the book because I just absolutely love it. We have Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This book is such a hyped up TikTok book, and I cannot. I do not like it. There is nothing about this book that I really enjoyed. I think I rated it 1.5 stars, and I was generous and rounded it up to a 2 star. It's a it says it's a adult romance. That's a lie. It's definitely YA. Like most of the book takes place when they're kids, I felt like. And then I hated it. I hated this book. Sorry, Carly Fortune. I'll read your next one. Maybe I'll like that one better, but this one just no. No, 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 no. And I really don't love second chance romance, and I don't love friends to lovers, specifically childhood friends to lovers. So that's probably a big reason why I didn't love this one. Okay, next book we have Look What You Made Me Do by Elaine Murphy. So this book, I really enjoyed this one a lot. It's definitely one I want to reread. Where do I put you? We'll put you there. I really enjoy this one. This one is definitely an underrated like mystery thriller. I would call this like it's more serious than Finley Donovan, but I call this Finley Donovan if Finley Donovan's sister was a serial killer and make it a little more serious than that. But I really enjoyed it and I highly recommend. I do have the sequel to this book. It's been on my physical TBR for forever and I really need to read it. But the reason I haven't read it yet is because my library doesn't have the audiobook and I'm such an audiobook girl. So when it comes to physically reading books, like I really got to make them a priority. And I tried, but I haven't been successful at it yet. We have Survive the Night by Riley Sager. Unpopular opinion, I actually really enjoyed this one. So we're gonna put this one in right there. We're gonna put it above The Silent Patient. So this book, I understand why people don't like it because the main character is so frustrating, but I was so entertained. So I like didn't care. It was like a fun, frustrating, like, oh, this girl's so stupid, but like, oh, I'm so entertained. So yeah, we have that one. That's all I'm gonna say. Bullet Train by Kitoro Isaka. I loved this book. This book was really good. We're gonna put this one. Where do we put you? We're gonna put you here. I know here. I just can't like put something in the middle of those. Like no, especially when I read trilogies like back to back to back. I'm sorry, they like start to all blend together. Especially like the second and the third, they just like all blend together. Okay, so we have Bullet Train. This one I really enjoyed. I read this book because I wanted to watch the movie. And I'm someone that if I know a movie is based on a book, like it doesn't matter what book it is, I have to read the book first. This one I read the physical book of it. I didn't listen to the audiobook. And I really enjoyed this a lot. It was so fun. It was definitely a very unique mystery thriller. And I highly recommend. It is like, I feel like longer, like it is like 400 pages plus, but so worth it. And I was never bored. We have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is a top tier romance book. I absolutely love it. I love Nora. I love Charlie. I actually read this book twice in 2022. So when you do your Goodreads like reading challenge, right? And it tells you read like 162 books. Does that include like rereads? Like, does that mean like, okay, I read this book twice, so did I really read like 161 books? You know what I mean? I don't know, but I really enjoy this book a lot. I just love that it takes that like small town, big city trope and just like flips it and turns it on its head. and makes fun of it because I'm so over that trope and I just absolutely love this book so, so much. I love Nora. I just love that Emily Henry writes this strong female lead who is so unapologetic. And I love the ending to this book specifically because she doesn't take the easy way out, because the ending kind of lines up so perfectly where she could just wrap it up in a bow and it just be like a nice little Hallmark movie ending, but she doesn't do that and she still makes it an amazing ending, and I really, really enjoyed that. We have The Chain by Adrienne McKenty. This is definitely, I feel like, a 2022 favorite. I really enjoyed this mystery thriller book. It's about, I feel like a lot of people were talking about this year. The Chain, it basically is about say your kid gets kidnapped, you get a phone call saying, "Hey, I kidnapped your kid. In order to get your kid back, you have to kidnap this other kid and you have to wire me this amount of money." And then it's just like a chain reaction. Everybody whose kid gets kidnapped has to kidnap somebody else and pay. And it just goes on in this chain reaction cycle. It was really good. Definitely the first half of the book was better than the second half of the book, but I really enjoyed it a lot. The Christie Affair by, I don't know her name. I don't know her name. It's cut off, and I don't really care because I didn't like this book. Just no. Just no, not a fan of this book. Next, we have the Spanish Love Deception. Just no. No, 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 no. I read this book in January. I could not stand this book. I have no idea what people are talking about when they call this a favorite. Like, good for you if you like this book. I wish I was on your level. I hated this book. I cannot. The main character was so annoying. I could not stand her. She just, like, her inner monologue was so repetitive. It was so annoying. And it's just like it is some of, I this is one of the things that I love enemies to lovers, but one of the things I think can go wrong in enemies to lovers is when the guy is so obviously like in love with her or so over the top nice to her or just like so obviously cares for her, and the girl just is like, "Oh, but no, he secretly hates me," or this or that. Like, I can't, I don't like it. I don't like the Spanish Love Deception. I'm sorry. It's probably one of my worst books of the year. Okay, next. We have The Island by Adrian McKenzie. That is a going to put it another 2022 favorite. I really enjoy his work. I want to look into more books that he's written. I really like The Island. I would say I like The Island more than The Chain. I think I rated The Island 5 stars and The Chain 4 stars. But yeah, The Island is a really good book. It's about this family that gets kind of trapped on this island because something went wrong and the locals kind of start hunting them down and want to kill them, and they can't get off the island. And I just love that premise for a mystery thriller where people are kind of trapped in a space. I just think it makes for a really good mystery thriller. Next, we have The Office BFFs by Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey. I really enjoyed this one as well. We're going to put it in a 2022 favorite. I mean, okay, this one I feel like I can critique more than the other memoirs. And the reason for that is if you listen to the Office Ladies podcast, I think that this book is quite repetitive. But I still enjoyed it because I really enjoyed them. But if you're like somebody who listens to their podcast every week, it's kind of repetitive. I mean, there's some new things that you get that you didn't necessarily get in the you don't get from the podcast, but a lot of the stories were repeated stories. Also, but what I did like about this book, which I thought was really unique and really cool about it, in the obviously physical edition, they have all these photos, and when you're listening to an audiobook, you don't get to see those exclusive photos. So the different thing they do for the audiobook is they have these exclusive kind of interviews with the cast and other people as well. So I thought that was really cool because like whether you listen to the audiobook or read the physical edition, everyone kind of gets something like exclusive about it. I was so excited to read this trilogy because I love To All the Boys I Loved Before. I love that trilogy so, so much. I was very excited to read this one. But I'm gonna say with this one, I could live without it, to be completely honest. I feel like I enjoyed the first one the most. Like, well, the first one I'll put in, it was good. Then we'll put this one. It's Not Summer Without You, and I Could Live Without It. And we'll always have summer. Also, and I Could Live Without It. Yeah, we'll put it like that. I could live without it. The last book, honestly, Belly really annoyed me. So we're gonna actually put that one down there. Belly really annoyed me in the last book with the whole, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but the whole situation really irritated me, and I was just like, she's just being a brat in the last book. So there we go. We have, needless to say, I was very excited because of this trilogy, and this one was not worth the hype. And Want to Guess by Sherry Lapina. I really enjoyed this mystery thriller a lot. I thought this one was a lot of fun. Let's put it here. So yeah, I thought this one was a lot of fun. It's kind of like that same trope that I love. They're in this it's about a group of strangers. They're all at this bed and breakfast, and they get snowed in. They get trapped. The power goes out. Bodies start appearing, and I just loved a like was it like a locked room, closed door mystery thriller where you know it's like one of the people is the killer. I did have a suspicion of who the killer was very early on in the book because of one of the things she said about the characters, about what they like to do, or like some sort of just kind of like throwaway line. I saw it as like foreshadowing, and I was like, oh, like I just think they're the killer or something, and it turned out to be correct. But I think that just comes with the territory of reading a lot of mystery thrillers. You pick up on things more, and yeah. So even though it was predictable, I really enjoyed that one. Next, we have Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin. Okay, so I think I rated this whole trilogy 5 stars. Serpent and Dove I read in 2022, so that's why it's I meant 2021, which is why it's not here. But Blood and Honey and Gods and Monsters, I um I read these in the beginning of the year, and I rated the whole series 5 stars. But to be honest, I cannot tell you much about the last two. I honestly really forgot everything that happened. So even though I read that, rated them 5 stars, we're gonna put them in I read this question mark because I don't really remember anything. Next, we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I love this book so much, like really love this book so much. And like, why is this one like all the way over here? Put you down here. I really enjoyed this book. This was the first mystery thriller book to ever kind of give me anxiety and actually make me anxious, which is why it just deserves so much praise because I've never encountered a mystery thriller or horror book that's actually given me anxiety or made me nervous. But like what are their names? Like Mrs. Pennyface or and what's the other Mr. Shadow and Mrs. Penny or Mrs. Pennyface and Mr. Shadow. Yeah, those people will forever haunt my dreams. Super scary, and I really, really enjoy this book a lot, which is why I'm really excited to read the new Riley Sager book coming out. Then we have A Curious Beginning by Veronica Speedwell. This is another one where it was good. It was good. We'll put it here. It was good. Great time. I don't know, like, okay, this book is like one that I bought into the Veronica Speedwell hype. Everyone was reading the series. I looked into the first one. It was fine. I just never really felt the need to like pick up the rest of them. Then we have A Poem for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This is one I'm gonna put in I read this question mark. I don't really remember this book all that much, but it is one that I would like to reread because I remember enjoying it, but I don't really remember anything about it to be honest. And that's kind of the same with Below Zero by Ali Hazelwood. I really don't remember much about this to be honest, so we're gonna put that here as well. We have Welcome to Winterville by Carrie Elks. I really enjoyed this book a lot. It was a good romance. So we're gonna put it here. Less than a fave, but more than good. I feel like this is where a lot of my things are gonna go, to be honest, because I'm very generous with my 4 stars. Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan, another one that I really enjoyed. This is one of the first adult fantasy books that I have read, and one that I kind of picked up on my own, not like without like be like oh all these booktubers are reading. It's one I kind of like picked up on my own because I thought the cover was stunning, and I really enjoyed my time reading it. So we're gonna put it right there, right there. Next we have Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, another one that I really really loved this book a lot. I would like to, I don't know if I want to reread this book necessarily. Like, I kind of want to reread it because I had such a good time reading it, but I don't think it would hit this well the second time around. But as an Then We Are Now retelling, and the audiobook was really good, and I really recommend the audiobook. Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. We're gonna put this one. Like, I feel like this is like kind of like not the right place for it. I feel like it really should be and I Could Live Without It, but I just really want to put it in Just Know because actually no, I'm gonna stick with putting it in Just Know because I was so bored the entire time and I felt like the book was just depressing and pointless and I did not like it. And I was really excited to read this book too because I really wanted to read her YA duology. What is it called? Like Fable, I think Fable, that duology. I wanted to read that, but Book of the Month had her latest adult release. So I was like, okay, let me try it. I want to try out the author. Didn't like it, but I'm still looking forward to reading that other duology that she has. Next, we have A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. I really enjoyed this book a lot. This I rated 5 stars. I really love this Hades and Persephone's retelling. It is a series. I don't really feel the need to continue on in the series, to be honest, because I feel like with this book, it was really it's a series, but I feel like it wrapped up really nicely at the end. And it's not like a romance series where it's interconnected standalones. It's a romance series where it continues Hades and Persephone's storyline. And I don't really want to see them keep going through conflict. Like, I just like a quick little romance. Oh, you have a little conflict, you come back together, it's all cute. Like, I don't really care to see you guys constantly fighting. And that's just how I imagine a series like this would go. So I'm just gonna be like happy with one and done, and I'm good. Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. This one I really enjoyed as well. This was a really great mystery thriller, and it is one that is a very unique concept for a mystery thriller. So you have this lady who sees her son murder someone, and she's like, oh my God. And then she wakes up the next morning, and it's the previous day before the murder. She wakes up again, it's 2 days before the murder, and she keeps going backwards in time. And I think that's such an interesting concept because it's not a Groundhog's Day, it's traveling back in time. So, yeah, super interesting concept. I think it was really well executed as well. And I feel like more people need to talk about this book and more people need to read this book. So, there we go. We have Good Me, Bad Me by Ali Land. This one I'm going to put in, it was good. This was probably one of the darkest books that I have read all year. It was a very dark topics. I listened to the audiobook. I enjoyed it, but it was very dark and yeah. This is about a teenager, and her mom is a serial killer, and she's the one who turns her mom into the police, and she kind of goes not into witness protection because her mom is locked up and going on trial, but she goes to live with her psychiatrist and his family, but she doesn't want anybody to know who she is, so she's kind of like going under a different identity. And yeah, I just put it in, it was good. Next, we have Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I really enjoyed this book a lot. It was a fun mystery thriller. It was great for the summertime, even though it came out in January, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I rated it 4 stars. So we're gonna put it right here next to The Kiss Curse because that's by Erin Sterling, but that's Rachel Hawkins' pen name, so they're by the same author. The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I really love this book a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I am quite a fan of this book. You know what? Like to be honest, like I'm not feeling really great about my 2022 favorite. I'm not. I'm sorry. I know I said I feel weird about ranking memoirs, so I should just put them in the top, but I'm not gonna do that actually. We're just gonna put them down here. I'm actually not gonna do that. This I'll leave up here. This I like, this I like. This one I feel like needs to move down. I'm having some regrets, you guys. The Islands, we're gonna put it down here. We're gonna put it down here. It just feels better this way. And then I'm feeling better now. I feel better now. I feel like I overdid it with the 2020 favorites. But these ones are gonna go here. Yeah, I'll leave those there. Okay, I feel a little better now. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I really enjoyed this book a lot. My jaw was on the floor. Like when the twist came for this book, my jaw was on the floor for this one. So I really enjoyed this. This year in 2023, I not reread. I read for the first time every single Riley Sager book. So I filmed a vlog on that if you're interested. Where it's a spoiler filled vlog too. If you have read his books, it's filled with spoilers. So yeah. This one, my jaw was on the floor for the twist, and I'm here for it. So there we go. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I'm gonna put in it was good. And you know what? Actually, no, we're gonna put it was less than a fave, but more than good. But we're gonna put it on the end of that because I feel like it's a blend of these two. Because it is definitely not my favorite trope. Friends to Lovers, not my favorite trope, but I did enjoy it. But it just wasn't my favorite Emily Henry book. Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. This was a sci-fi book that I picked up because I found it at the thrift store, and I absolutely loved it. We're gonna put this up here as well, Sleeping Giants. I really recommend it. I had a lot of fun reading it, and the sequel to that was, where is it? It's a cover that's black and yellow. Here it is, Waking Gods. This one I really enjoyed as well. We're gonna put them together because it was really great. There is a conclusion to it called Only Humans. I haven't heard the best things about it, so I'm a little nervous about reading it. But that hopefully it will be read in 2023. So those two highly recommend. I call this Daisy Jones and the Six to make it sci-fi. And the reason I say that is because the whole thing is told in like transcripts and interview format, and it has a full cast narration. So listen to the audiobooks for them. I highly recommend that over actually like physically reading them. It was a great experience. They're short audiobooks. Highly recommend. Girl Boss by Sophie Amoruso. This is the CEO of Nasty Gal. I'm going to put this, and I read this because I don't really remember anything about it, to be honest. I read this book because she used to be an eBay seller, and then she turned in obviously to the CEO of Nasty Gal, like $1 billion company or $100 million company, whatever. I'm an eBay seller. I'm a Poshmark seller. So she's definitely the most successful of us sellers. So I was just curious about her story, and there's that. Then we have The Neighbor's Secret by L. Alison Heller. This is another one where I read this. I don't really remember anything about it. This one I thought was a mystery thriller. And I think I was wrong in that. But I thought it was a mystery thriller based on the cover, and it's called The Neighbor's Secret. But then when I saw it on Book of the Month, when I saw it again on Book of the Month, it was I just said contemporary fiction. So I think the reason I didn't really love it as much is because I was wrong in the genre it's supposed to be. But then looking back on it now, I don't remember. We have Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. This one it was good. It was good. It was a good mystery thriller. It was good. I just have nothing else to say about it. It was good. I read 3 Sherry Lapina books at this point. This one was my least favorite, but I didn't hate it. So yeah, there you go. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I absolutely love this book. It is top tier, all-time favorite. It is on my 2023 reread list because I want to annotate it, and I absolutely love the audiobook. The audiobook is stunning, stunning, stunning. Julia Whelan's voice, V.E. Schwab's like beautiful lyrical writing, and then just like everything about the content of this book, everything about it is beautiful. I'm absolutely obsessed with this book. Highly recommend. Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This one we're going to put in, it was good, but we're going to put it on the tail end if it was good because this was my least favorite Riley Sager book. I don't know why. Every apartment setting book that I have read, Other Birds, Lock Every Door, The Paris Apartment, which is on here somewhere, I have disliked. I don't know why. What's wrong with an apartment setting? I don't know, but I didn't like it. A Royal Holiday by Jasmine Guillory. Do I put this in just no or I could live without it? Let's put it in just no because I feel like that's like excessive. Like when I came up with this category, I was really thinking of these 3 books, but now we're adding on to it. This book I rated it 2 stars. It was so boring. The characters are older; they're in their 50s, which is fine. But Larry Reeds, I think, is the one who reviewed this, or someone else, or was it Haley and Bookland that reviewed this that said it best? I think it was Haley and Bookland who reviewed it, who said it best. She said it in a way, and I was like, oh wait, that's actually what I was thinking, but I wasn't able to articulate it. Even though the characters are more mature, they're written like they are super young. And not in their like maturity level, but just in like their like they don't curse and like everything's fade to black and like you know what I mean? It feels like a very young book when you have really older and mature characters. We have Where the Crawdad Sings by Delia Owens. I really enjoyed this book. I rated it 5 stars. Um, yeah, it was just a good book, and I enjoyed the movie. And it is not my typical read. It is very like you're just basically following this girl over decades, which I actually learned this year is something I really love when you follow a character, or a group of characters, or a specific relationship over the span of years, decades, and you kind of see their whole life story. Yeah, I thought it was a really nice book. I liked it. We have Zodiac Academy. I read this one in December, and we're gonna put it in. I could live without it because I'm in between I could live without it and just no. There's no likable characters in here. I don't even think the writing is that great in this book either. You're following its dual perspective between these 2 twins, and I feel like there's not enough differentiating factors between the twins. And especially reading it on my Kindle, like I felt like I have to kept like flipping or tapping back to the front of the chapter to see whose chapter I was on because I was getting them like mixed up, both of the twins. And I thought all the characters were super unlikable. I understand that it's a bully romance, but I just didn't like how they were constantly the victims. Like, can we not be the victims for a whole 400-page book? So yeah, I'm gonna put in I Could Live Without It. The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I reread the first 2 books in the Inheritance Games series this year, and then I read obviously the Final Gambit for the first time. So for my rereads, we're gonna put these in less than a fave, but more than good. We're just gonna put all of them right here. we're gonna put the first. We're gonna put the Inheritance Games, Less Than a Fave but More Than Good. The Hawthorne Legacy will also be here. The Final Gambit was my least favorite out of all of them. We're gonna put it in. It was good. Overall, I really enjoyed the series. I didn't feel like it had a really strong ending to it. I feel like neither of the sequels kind of captured the magic that the first book had. And upon the reread, upon the reread of it, I feel like these books aren't really great rereadable books. You know, just go into the first one for go into the first book with that experience and don't reread it because it's like once you know everything, it kind of loses that magic to it. So yeah, they're really great first time books, but I didn't really love the ending, to be honest. Okay, but I have a whole video on the ending of it if you want to see it. So I really enjoy these books a lot. So we're gonna put them up here. I really enjoy these books a lot. These Violent Delights Our Violent Ends. They were really great. They are definitely, I feel like, on the top. Like if I had a scale of YA fantasy, I feel like they're like at the top tier, right? Like they're definitely really great because they're really well written. You have really great characters. You have a lot of political intrigue. You have the romance there. There's just so many like it's just really well done. It's a really well done YA fantasy duology. Just, it's not like it's not Serpent and Dove. You know what I mean? Like there's a big difference between like These Violent Lives and Our Violent Ends and then like Blood and Honey and Gods and Monsters, right? So that's what I'm gonna say. We had The Family Game by Catherine Steadman, which I really enjoyed this mystery thriller. Would I call it a 2022 favorite? It's hard to say if I would. I actually don't know. I'm gonna put it here because I'm kind of indecisive on if I want to call it a 2022 favorite or not. I never made my top 10 mystery thrillers of 2022, although I totally meant to do that. I never did. I did comprise the list. I never filmed the video. This was on the list of them. I really enjoyed this book a lot. Yeah, there's that one. We have Iona Iverson's Rules for Commuting by Claire Pooley. Another one that I really enjoyed a lot. I thought this was another really great book. You're following these group of strangers that kind of they meet on a train and they always see each other on commutes. They never talk. One day, one of them's choking on a grape. One of them is a doctor and saves him. And then they all start becoming friends and they realize, oh my God, we've been sitting next to each other this whole time. Never talking, but we're all really great friends. Has really great found family element to it, and I highly recommend that book. It's one I want to reread and annotate. We have Hello Summer by Mary Kay Andrews, and this is one where I read this ? I have no memory of this book. We have Dial A for Aunties and For Aunties in a Wedding, both by Jessie Q. Sutanto. So I would say, I don't know, this one I kind of want to let's put them up here. We'll put them in 2022 favorites. I really enjoyed these books a lot. I loved our main character. I loved all the aunties. They're definitely very fun books. And yeah, I just highly recommend them. I'm gonna put that one there. I feel better about this order. Okay. Next we have, oh, this is a quartet. Let me find all of them. All of these are just gonna go in Less Than a Fave but More Than Good. I actually really enjoyed this book a lot, and I actually really enjoyed this family a lot. You get to know the Quinn family, that's the name. You get to know the Quinn family, and it is a very, very enjoyable. I should have just put these in one picture since I'm ranking them all the same. But yeah, you get to know the Quinn family. They're a nice little quartet. They're not super long audiobooks. They're not really long physical books either. And I just really love Ellen Hildebrand, and I love these books. Okay, we have The Atlas Paradox by Olive V. Blake. I'm gonna put this, and it was good. To be honest, I was a little disappointed in this book. It was not the best sequel ever. So hopefully the conclusion's better. Definitely this suffers from middle book syndrome, where I feel like it was just a bridge to the conclusion, a bridge between the beginning and the conclusion, and I don't really think this book holds itself up on its own. Then we have Harry Potter, which we're gonna put all the Harry Potter books together. I read Harry Potter 5 through 7. Where's the Half-Blooded Prince? Here we go. I read 5 through 7 this year, so honestly, like I know Harry Potter is canceled, but I bought all my editions secondhand, so none of my money went to J.K. Rowling, and I really enjoyed the series. So there you go. We're not going to dwell on it. Next we have The Hand on the Wall, which I read the first book in this series, Truly Devious, I read in 2022, and then I finished it in 2021. I finished the series, the last two in 2023. Oh, and then we also have The Box in the Woods. Okay, so The Vanishing Sarah and The Hand on the Wall. I'm gonna put them in It Was Good. And that's where honestly they're all gonna go. Well, actually, this one we're gonna put up here because I liked The Box in the Woods, which was the fourth book in the series, better than the original trilogy. The way this is working is the original trilogy was one overarching storyline, and now Maureen Johnson is coming out with kind of standalones after the original trilogy involving the same group of characters. And yeah, The Box in the Woods was better than the first three in the series. If I had Truly Devious on here, it would also be down here as well. But honestly, should I move this down here? Because I don't really remember. Actually, no, we're going to keep it up there. We have Love in the Time of Serial Killers. I could live without it. It was okay. There's nothing special about this one. I was really pumped because it's a cool cover, but there was nothing great about it. We have The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. We're going to put this one over here as well, somewhere around here. I don't even know what's going on anymore with this. I'm just going to put it in a random place. I don't have time to rank within ranks. I really liked this one. Again, I really enjoyed the first one. Second one was okay. I do want to do a reread of them. I listened to the audiobooks for both of them. I want to do physical rereads of them this year, leading up to the conclusion, but I'm going to wait for the end of the year to do that. We have The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Definitely a 2022 favorite. I really enjoyed this series a lot. I actually, it was my dad's birthday yesterday, and I gifted him The Thursday Murder Club and the second book in the series. I didn't get him the third book because I couldn't find the first one in hardcover anywhere, and they're sold out on Barnes Noble and Amazon when it's $65. I'm not going to buy him two paperbacks and then one hardcover, so I got him both paperbacks of The Thursday Murder Club and then The Man Who Died Twice. And I love The Man Who Died Twice as well, so we're going to be putting that one up here as well. Really great series. It's a cozy mystery series following these four senior citizens who have the Thursday Murder Club, where they go and solve cold cases. In the first book, the developer of the retirement community that they live at is found murdered, and they are on the case, and they're like, F cold cases, we want to solve a real case. So there's that. The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, just no, not a fan. Not a fan at all. Did not like it. I rated it 2 stars. I was so bored, and I did not like the ending. And Merry Little Me Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This was such a cute, this was a very cute romance book, a really fun Christmas romance. I definitely know that I'm going to be rereading this Christmas romance in 2023. In this one, you're following a adult film star who's trying to break away from that industry and do something different with her career, even though she loves that industry. There's nothing wrong with it. She just wants to try something different. She doesn't want to be put into a box. So she gets hired to do a Hallmark movie, and she has to keep her adult film industry career under wraps. So, yes, I really love this. It was such a good book. I highly recommend it. Like, I would reread this book like right now. You know what I mean? Like I might even reread this in the summer. Who cares? Why wait for Christmas? It was so cute. I don't need to wait for Christmas. The Wedding Day by Jasmine Guillory. I'm gonna put this and It Was Good. Yeah, we're gonna put it with The Proposal and It Was Good. Honestly, it was better than The Proposal, but the first third, again, it took me a little bit. It took me like 20-30% of the book to really get into it and get invested into it. Once I did get invested, I liked it. I had a good time, but like it shouldn't take me like 20-30% to get invested. I want to be invested from the beginning. Under One Roof, this was my favorite out of all three novellas. I really enjoyed this one a lot. Honestly, we're just randomly placing them at this point. I'm not going to rank within ranks, especially in this one, which is very large. This was my favorite out of all the novellas because I love a good little enemies to lovers situation, and I love a romance, a roommate romance, love it. The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. I love this book. I devoured it. This was, I don't know. Yes, we are going to put it in 2022 favorite because you know what? This is Paranormal Evelyn Hugo, and that's all I'm going to say about it because that's all you need to know. Legends of Lattes by Travis Baldree. I hopped on the train, I read this cozy mystery, and you know what? It was good. I rated it 3 stars. Is my heart broken? I don't know because everyone loves it and they say it warms their heart. I was bored. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. Absolutely love this book so much. We're gonna put it up there because it was amazing. I love Piper. I love Brendan. I cannot wait for the movie to come out, and I'm definitely gonna be rereading that in 2023. And I'm gonna read the sequel, Hook, Line, and Sinker, because I just have to. Next, we have Well, That Was Unexpected by Jessie Q. Sutanto. Another one that I really enjoyed, YA romance. I'm not huge into YA romance. It really just depends on who the author is, if I'll read it. I love Q. Sutanto, so I'll read it. Like Talia Hibbert in January 2023 just came out with a YA romance. I read it because it's Talia Hibbert. But I won't read just anybody's YA romance. But this one was really good. I do recommend it. But I enjoyed it more than people who be on vacation. More than there we go. Next we have Final Girls by Riley Sager. Really enjoyed this one a lot. It was a fun time. And there we go. This is The Lost Apothecary, another one that I really enjoyed a lot. I keep saying I'm not going to rank them, and then I'm like trying to rank them, but like whatever. I really enjoyed The Lost Apothecary. It's dual timeline. I know it's not a fantasy book, but I was kind of hoping it was a fantasy book. I was waiting for like a fantastical twist where maybe a ghost would come and like the two storylines would interconnect, but they never like interconnected in that way. But I still really enjoyed this one a lot. It's a short book. I will say, in the present day storyline, the lady's husband, like the thing that he does, I was like, yikes, yikes, girl. Like, that's your husband. We have The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, which I really enjoyed this book a lot. I dare I call it a 2022 favorite. It was a really fun romance novel, very lighthearted, and I think that's why I loved it. It was very lighthearted and it was so much fun. But and there was no smut in it, and not every romance needs smut, right? Like I love a smutty romance, but not every romance needs it. This was in my top 10 romances of 2022. So, liked that. Funny you should ask by Elisa Sussman. I'm gonna put in I Could Live Without It because you know what? There was nothing special, but I just didn't believe in the romance. You're telling me you met 10 years ago for 3 days, but you've been thinking about each other ever since? Like, what? No, no, no. Lore Olympus, Volume 1. It was fine. I did not get invested after one volume. Five Survive by Holly Jackson. I Could Live Without It. It was an okay mystery thriller. It was just, I felt very YA, which it is YA. And there's nothing wrong with feeling YA when it is YA. But the YA books that I tend to put up here, like Sadie or Foul Lady Fortune, it doesn't feel very YA to me, but it is, you know? We have The Monarchs. I read this question mark. I don't remember anything about it. This is the sequel after The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Daniel Page. I genuinely remember nothing about this book. Book of Night by Holly Black. Just no, did not like it. I put these two books together because I'm excited for both of them because I had never read a Holly Black book. I had never read an Adrienne Young book. These they're YA authors going into adult debuts. These are their adult debuts. Super hyped up to both Book of the Month selections. Both did not work for me. The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, a 2022 favorite. I love this book. Dare I call it a top tier favorite? I don't. I'd have to do a reread of it to know if it's a top tier favorite. Ooh, okay. I think I feel good about that. Love Hypothesis, absolutely loved it. Read it in January of last year, and it was amazing. When I read it last January, even though it was January, I knew this is gonna be one of my favorite books of the year. We have The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. We're gonna put this with all my other Riley Sager books. Less than a fave, but more than good. The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. I really enjoyed this mystery thriller a lot. I thought it was so good. I had never read Jane Eyre, which is a Jane Eyre retelling. So I think if you've read that book, it might have spoiled the twist. But since I had no idea what the twist in Jane Eyre was, I had no idea what the twist in this was, and my jaw was on the floor. I was shocked, and I absolutely loved it. In the Event of Love by Courtney Kay. We're gonna put it in. It was good. It was good. It definitely takes the trope that book lovers makes fun of, and it does it. So it's kind of like I didn't like it in that respect, but it was a sapphic Christmas romance in a small town, and there's not enough of those out there, so I don't want to be too harsh on the one that we have. It was good. We'll put it there. There. We have The Holly Swap by Maggie Knox. Another one. It was good. It was good. This one, you're following twins and they swap lives. They both follow each other with a guy in the other person's life. And the only reason I didn't like it is because it's a pretty short romance book, which is fine because it does give you great holiday vibes. But because you're following two separate love storylines, right? You're following two separate relationships in a short book. I feel like you don't really get to see a lot of the growth in the relationships. It's kind of just more insta lovey on both sides. Love at First Spite by Anna E. Collins. Another one. It was good. I haven't really thought about it much since I read it. The Hacienda. Just no. Not a fan. I rated it 3 stars. It was fine, but it's a little harsh. We'll put it in I Could Live Without It. So many people love this book too, and I'm not understanding it. I did not connect with it. Young Blood by Sasha Lawrence, another one. We're gonna put this in just no because I was actually kind of disappointed in this book. I felt like it had a really cool premise. It was a vampire boarding school, and the two main characters are it's a sapphic romance and a vampire boarding school, so it has super cool premise, but I was very disappointed by the execution of it. I was not a fan. We have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, one that I really, really enjoyed. I called it a 2022 top 10 favorite romance. Has to go up in the 2022 favorite romances. I like this one because it was an emotional romance. It was the book had a lot more depth to it than something like The Bodyguard. Like these are like complete opposites, right? This is all fluff and cotton candy and fun. This is has more emotional depth to it, but I both equally loved them. And this one I kind of read on the whim, and the only reason I read this one is because I heard someone do a wrap up and said Julia Whelan was the narrator. Love Julia Whelan. I was like, okay, let's read it. And I really regret not picking this as my book of the month pick because I picked The Hacienda over this book. Do you see where The Hacienda is? And do you see where this book is? So I messed up. I messed up. We have Jackal by Aaron E. Adams. I really enjoyed this book a lot. It was a really great mystery thriller. Although I feel like it's kind of more of a horror than a mystery thriller, I really liked it a lot. So I highly recommend. I think if you like a Jordan Peele and you like movies like Get Out, then you would really enjoy this book. We have The Coldest Touch, which I am not remembering much about it. I remember reading it 4 stars. I remember liking it, but I don't remember much about it. So we're gonna put it in I Can Live Without It. We have The Distraction by Morgan Elizabeth, which is the first book because I read this book "'Tis the Season for Revenge, so then I read The Distraction. We're gonna put it in the tail end of It Was Good. Actually, we're gonna actually put it higher up and It Was Good. We'll put it right there. It was good. You could tell it was a debut and self-published because it wasn't really the best book ever. Like the writing wasn't that great, but you can definitely tell there's a big difference between her first book and then the one I rated a top tier was her fifth or sixth book. So, you know, the first book, it was good, but the other one, top tier. We have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I really enjoyed this a lot. It is a 2022 favorite by far. Um, I love B. I love Levi. Just, oh my God, so cute. So cute. Absolutely love them together. We have The Lost Ticket by Freya Sampson. This is definitely a top tier favorite book. I absolutely love this. This is kind of very similar to Iona Iverson's Rules for Commuting. And in this book is another like transportation, strangers coming together, found family element, and it's just such a wholesome, feel good book. I can't even tell you. And I really want to read Freya Sampson's other book. Next, we have Counterfeit by Kristen Chen. And this one, I'm going to be like, I read this because I never think about this book. Do not remember what the plot was. It's about people who get into making counterfeit bags and selling them, but I do not remember anything other than that. We have The Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hilderbrand, and I'm going to put it in a 2022 favorite because this is the book that started my love for Ellen Hilderbrand, and this is what started me reading 8 books by her. So really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad it was a book of the month selection because if it wasn't, then I probably never would have read it, and I would have never found this new favorite author of mine. Next, we have City of Lost Souls, and I'm gonna put this in. I read this because my goal is to finish the Moral Instrument series. I've been reading it for like 3 years now. This is the fifth book. I want to read the sixth book in 2023, but I don't remember anything that happened in that book. We have Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is just it goes here. It was good. I liked it. It was great, great time. Thank you for listening by Julia Whelan. Another one, less than a fave, but more than good. I'll stick it right in the middle. That's how I feel about it. Arsenic and Adobo. This one it was a good. You know, the thing about this series is I've read Arsenic and Adobo, Homicide and Hello Hollow, and Blackmail and Babinka, and I feel the same way about all of them. I really enjoy them when I'm reading them, but once I'm finished with that audiobook, I cannot remember anything about the books. Have a good time. Always excited for the new release, but I just don't remember them. So there we go. The Verifiers by Jane Peck. I could live without it. I did not really enjoy this book all that much, and I kind of regret picking it as a book of the month choice. Kind of a Big Deal by Shannon Hale. Another one I could live without it. It was not that great. It's a YA book, but it feels very middle grade. It's about this girl who can like get sucked into books basically, and she can live the life of the in the side the she could live inside a book basically, but it sounds really cool, but it was not well executed. The Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. It was top tier. Top tier series, volumes 1 through 4, very top tier. I absolutely love these series. I love them, and if I was a mother and I had children right now, I would be forcing them to read these books because I think they cover such important topics in such like a what's the word I'm looking for? A palatable way for teenagers, right? Like it deals with eating disorders, homophobia, just like so many important topics for children to learn about in the proper way. And I feel like if someone reads this book, you're just going to become a more mature person, a more accepting and loving person, and just super wholesome. And I love Nick and Charlie's relationship, and it's top tier. Next, we have Daisy Jones and the Six. This was a reread. It's top tier. Like, these are probably like my 2 favorite books of all time right here. We have The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Another one I absolutely love, 2022 favorite by far. Super fun horror book, and the first Grady Hendrix books I have read. Can't wait to read more. Then we have Throttled and Collided by Lauren Asher, the first 2 books in the Dirty Air series. Throttled, I'm going to say I did put it in my top 10 romances of 2022. I really enjoy this one a lot. I don't think about it too much though, so we're going to put it here. Less than a fave, but more than good. And Collided, I enjoyed, but it was like way too long, so we're going to put it in It Was Good. Next, we have Spy Family. So I really love Spy Family. I'm going to say it's also a top tier. This is volumes 1 through 4 that I read in 2022. Right now it's 2023, and I've so far read volumes 5 through 7. And I can't wait for my Libby loan to come in through 8. Even though I own the physical versions, I'm really enjoying them, reading them more on my Kindle than actual books. But yeah, really enjoy Spy Family. I've talked about that one a lot. We have Carrie Soda is back. We're going to put that in Less Than a Fave, but More Than Good with Malibu Rising. Bridgerton. I could live without it. I really enjoyed it, but there's one scene that really sticks out to me that I think is beyond messed up, and I don't really want to continue the series. We have The Cousins, which I could live without it because I have not thought about it since I read it. This is by Karen McManus, the author of One of Us is Dead or One of Us is Lying. One of Us is Lying. One of Us is Lying. That's the book. I have not read that book because it got spoiled for me, and I just feel there's no purpose in reading it now that it's been spoiled. I read The Cousins, and it was just The Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. Another one, Less Than a Fave, but More Than Good. Let's just put it right there. The Stardust Thief. I read this. I do not remember one thing that happened in that book. Happily Ever After by Tiff Marsalo. I did not like this book at all. I can't tell you why because I don't really remember much, but I remember not liking it. And then we have The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. It was good. It was fine. Nothing. I have thoughts on it that you'll hear about. Or did I already talk about it? I think I already talked about it in my December wrap up. So there you go. But it was okay. The thing I really don't like about this book is the ending and the secret he asks the love interest to keep from her sister. No, I hated that. Then we have Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. We're gonna put in I could live without it. We're gonna put it right here. I could live without it. Nothing special about it. And that is the end of all of the books that I read in 2022. So here we go. Here's one little final look. So for our top tier books, we have 10 top tier books. So I feel like that is pretty solid. We have some great 2022 favorites. And like some of these 2022 favorites, I will probably reread in 2023, and then they might make it to this top tier realm, depending on how their rereads go. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here's just a little look over of the books that I read this year. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Here's to a good reading year in 2023, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!